Facts ruin a good argument.
Okay, I'm your wife, and I was like, no, Matt, it's 3 guys and a girl.
I find it very hard to envision this fantasy. I can't imagine you as my wife. I just have like visions of you spooning me. And as warm as that might be, I don't necessarily want to go down
I'm a good
that
hugger.
path.
I'm a very good hugger.
I know. I hurt my back every time I'm involved.
Welcome to CDR. I am Bryn. This is Matt. This week we are reviewing Spacey Jane's Sunlight.
Yep. Top rated album according to Triple J. Of all the albums, it was rated, number 1. Actually.
Did it come in at number 1
Yep.
in top 10?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
No, yeah, it was the top rated. So they had a separate countdown for the albums. It came number 1. Obviously, they did pretty well in the Hot 100 yesterday.
Yep.
Just to timestamp this vid.
Just let everyone know, Triple J does this every year and had 2.7 million voters, the biggest voting in the world. And
Booster
Spacey
Seat.
Jane has got 4 in there.
Yep.
And Booster Seat coming in at number 2.
Yep. The Waitlist was in there as well.
So Waitlist was somewhere towards the top.
Yep.
There was Straight Face and Skin. Spacey Jane being 4 bands out of Perth or WA.
Fremantle. Yep.
Fremantle. That's all I really know.
Yeah. 4-piece. I thought they were a 2-guy, 2-girl band until my wife correctly instructed me that the person at the very back of the album was in fact a dude. So
I did double check that. I looked and
I didn't double check it because I was certain that wasn't the case until I had to eat humble pie in a very public argument.
Please tell me more.
Oh, I've hammed it up.
Damn it.
It was just, I thought I was right. I was belligerent and naturally wrong.
Was it just in the car?
Yeah, it was a conversation that lasted like half an hour. And it wasn't until I finally pulled out the phone that I sheepishly put the towel between the legs, and that was the end of that.
I'm surprised it took you 30 minutes to pull out the phone.
The phone ruins a good argument sometimes, I find. See, I try to avoid looking up the facts. Facts ruin a good argument.
Okay, I'm your wife, and I was like, no, Matt, it's 3 guys and a girl.
I find it very hard to envision this fantasy. I can't imagine you as my wife. I just have like visions of you spooning me. And as warm as that might be, I don't necessarily want to go down
I'm a good
that
hugger.
path.
I'm a very good hugger.
I know. I hurt my back every time I'm involved. Anyway,
Yes.
Spacey Jane.
Yeah, Spacey Jane.
So
What
they're,
was
they're
your
Hot
first
100s. They're Hot 100s darlings, and they're from Fremantle. And my first thoughts. So I put the album on the first time, and we always listen to the first track before we go out.
Yep.
And the first track is Good For You, which I thought was actually really quite a good track. It has some nice, interesting pieces. The chorus has a very flourishing, interesting vocal line. It's a really good track.
Yep.
And so I was pretty hyped to listen to the rest of the album. And I'd known that it had rated pretty well on the Triple J side of things. And whilst I tend to be fairly skeptical of Triple J and that sort of thing, I would say I went in fairly optimistic about what the album was going to be like. By the time I got through to the end of my first listen, those optimism feelings were completely and utterly dashed to bits. I really, really disliked it on the first listen.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Surprising that you say that it was voted number 1 in albums, because I would not put this as a number 1 album.
It's not the best album it's not the best album we've reviewed this month, let alone
the whole time we've done this. And we'll talk about
that.
other songs that should have, or other albums, or even artists that should have been in there.
So the thing is that this ends up being the comparison, and it's a good thing that we did Ballpark Music as the first album off the rank, because that is the analog here, right? They're an Australian outfit. They're kind of in the same field in terms of the music that they're producing, and they did not as well, but approximately well in the hottest 100. So like Cherub came in at number 4.
They didn't have any.
Yeah, no, they had Day and Age
they did
earlier,
too.
in maybe like in the 60s. I don't fact check me on that. That's probably wrong. But Cherub was definitely at 4. I went back and listened to Ballpark Music at some point over the week. It's light and day compared to... Sorry, that's a bad analogy. It's night and day compared to my enjoyment levels, right? Ballpark Music is vibrant, dynamic, has so many different ideas built into it that work really cohesively, whereas this album feels like you're listening to one track.
I'm definitely going to bring up the fact that I was confused between 2 tracks, which I thought they were exactly the same, being Skin and Good Grief.
This is the problem, right? I was going to write long, comprehensive notes, but there are tracks that I genuinely wouldn't have different things to say about, right? So for me, like, the only points of interest for this album are Good For You, Booster Seat. Booster Seat is, I think, the second best song on the album.
Yep.
So I was pretty happy to see that that was the one getting accolades in the Hot 100. I don't know if it's the second best song that was released last year, but it was certainly the second best song on this album.
Yeah.
That's about as far as I can say about it. Everything else, with the exception of a couple of moments like Hanging's okay, Sunlight is okay, you get halfway through the album and you go, oh man, I must be near to the end. You look up the track list, it's like, oh shit, I'm only 6 tracks in. When is the next interesting thing going to come along and draw my attention? And it never comes. So that was my relationship. The problem is that generally speaking, the music isn't bad. It's pleasant, it's well mixed. They sing nicely. There's, I think, just this element missing, and I think there's a vibrancy that isn't there. And maybe it's painted against the fact that, like, I had these big expectations for it, and I think that this is a genre of music that I generally like, so the fact that I didn't like it and there wasn't this creativity, I think, has miffed me more than most. So naturally, the other comparison I come up with is, well, Smith Street Band, you know, Don't Waste Your Anger ends up being like the other analog that's brought up in terms of bands that I thought were going to be good and disappointed me. But whilst I really dislike the Smith Street Band's lead singer, their music construction is interesting to me. Whereas there was nothing of that here. Like, I think Don't Waste Your Anger is a better album than this one. Woo! That's where I'm at.
I did not know where it came in. I didn't even know it was on the radar because I don't listen to Triple J. I don't listen to the radio.
You just happened to pick out 2 albums that did well in it.
Yeah, which was strange. I don't know how I came across them. I just saw it and I'm like, oh, that's Aussie. I'll give this a crack. Yeah. And it just turned out. So for me, when I went through, I was not overly thrilled about listening to the album again. Or
did you get in 1 listen a day?
Yeah, I got in 1 or 2 listens a day, which was surprising that the album is quite easy to listen to.
It's not offensive. Right?
No, it's not. And it's not draining. I do find myself many times being lost of what track I was up to, and it was very beachy. And I think the fact that it's so cool, calm, and collecting, and we're into summertime, that maybe also because everyone was in lockdown, this was kind of just like an album or songs that they would go to that would be soothing to listen to. Overall, I thought the guitar pick work throughout the whole album was what at least piqued my interest.
See, even for me, I thought the riffing was not interesting.
I get it was not interesting, but it's not a whole lot of just strumming. It's just a lot of picking and riffing going on. I was like, but brings it forward, brings it back.
The picking was really, all of it was generally heavy echoey. Like, there's only a couple of sections where the lead line actually has the time and space to breathe. A lot of it's bathed in heavy echo to the point where it may as well be a chord that's being strummed. And then the rest of it is these like very lightly distorted, clean electric guitar sounds throughout.
I mean, everything was just dosed in echo.
Yeah, but then you listen to the first track and it has like a real punchy chorus. And there's just none of that for the rest of the album, like at all. Like, that is the most upbeat track on the album, as far as I can remember.
Oh, Booster C kind of gets you
but
going
it's not
at
upbeat.
It's not upbeat, but I would say the intro to
time in the taxi. Was anxiety. Yeah,
I think the intro into the Booster Seat, it was enough to.
It's not upbeat though.
But it does. It does pull you in and get you a little interested, and then it just kind of drawed back out into the same. It mind boggles me that this is number 1 album.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and admittedly, I'm willing to give some space here, saying that like clearly this isn't for me. It's too languid. There isn't enough phrasing in the music that is interesting to me. The lead singer, whilst I think he could be charismatic, you go back and listen to Ballpark Music and the guy he owns each and every single song in a way that this guy doesn't.
I did find this lead singer in here, when he would go for his high-pitched singing, his volume didn't change either. Yeah.
See, I don't mind a little bit of raspiness or imperfection with the way that someone sings. Like, some of the best rock singers aren't perfect singers, and that's the point to some extent. But you want it to come with a swagger, an interest, or something that ties into the music well. And I just thought that like the whole thing, you know, it doesn't ever go low, it doesn't ever go high. It just sort of sits in that comfortable, uninteresting, lukewarm middle that I find offensive from a creativity and interest point of view.
It's not really waves, it's just ripples.
No, it's elevator music is what I end up sort of terming it. And so the comparison comparison that everyone sort of gives is like, oh, it's kind of like Ocean Alley. And I'm like, yeah, and Ocean Alley is kind of like elevator music to me as well. It's like, we never go above 110 BPM and that's our shtick, and we play chilled out songs, and if you like that, that's great. But like the lyrics don't do enough to draw you in. And
no, they don't.
That, and you know, the first listen was the same as the 7th or 8th. Like I listened to it probably 7 or 8 times over the course of the week. And so, you know what, I'm going to admit something here that I'm not proud of. I cheated on this album.
Cool.
Yeah, I had an affair.
Oh.
So after listening to King Gizzard last week, I went down the rabbit hole, found an album of theirs that I liked, played that about 20 times during the week.
Which
Nonagon
one?
Infinity.
Nonagon Infinity?
Yeah,
okay,
dude.
Yep. I'm going to put that on.
Honestly, like, it's a ride.
Yeah?
It's so good. I'm so, like, happy that I found it. It's on repeat. But I didn't shirk on Sunlight. I gave it every opportunity. And even after the first couple of times, I'm like, oh, I really don't like this. No, listen to it again. This might be the time where you find that thing inside, but it just never occurred. But yes, I emotionally cheated on it.
That is fair enough. I did every time listen to it, hoping that I would find something that I would be able to bring to the table to really express this album and just give it its own one-liner or its own true meaning in blues. But it's just was not at all interesting that much to me.
Yeah,
it's in the background music if you're doing anything really.
Were there any other tracks there that you like?
I put no favorites down. I almost put a heart down next to Booster Seat. It got half a heart, and then I was like, no, it's going to be heartbroken by the end of it. This is not an album for me. This is not my type. I can't even see going to like Falls Festival or any of the festivals, seeing this and being like, yeah, this is what I came here to see.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's great. I think they have a lot of potential to do a little more rocky or give it a little bit more punch. They really do have something behind them. Yeah. I just felt like this album was a little soft.
Yeah, the problem I have is given the amount of attention that they would have received for this specific album, and the fact that, you know, songs like Confidence by Ocean Alley a couple of years back wins Hottest 100, I don't think there is an incentive there to do stuff like that if they were that way inclined. I'm certain that these people got together and they just play the music that they like, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But in terms of being excited for what they may release in the future, hoping they go in a direction that I think that I will like, I would be pessimistic.
Yeah, well, I think they can be a little bit more rocky, maybe move towards a Kings of Leon direction. I mean, Kings of Leon, I mean, they're not my favourite band, but if they trended in that direction, it would be, for my personal taste, for the better. I don't mind Kings of Leon. They're at least got something that goes up and down. This ended up just being like a calm ocean, you know. Yeah.
You can't surf on it, but, you know, at least you know that the toddlers can swim in the
It's a beach with no waves.
It's a beach with no waves. That's probably the perfect analogy, really.
Probably. But you know what? Well, being Triple J is 18 to 25 is their main market that they shoot for. The youngers may well love it. This is their type.
Yeah, but Ballpark Music did well, right? So, I mean, I'm holding out hope. In terms of listening to the Hot 100, given the albums that we had reviewed in the lead-up, I was actually kind of really happy to hear how well they did.
Yep.
And the fact that Bring Me the Horizon had a number of tracks in there, it's like, okay, no, there's still people out there who can appreciate something with a tiny bit of edge to it. And there were a bunch of other tracks in there I really didn't quite mind. And I mean, our hype-up song was Get on the Beers.
Yeah.
Beers. And that's what must be done.
Come to the party with a case of beers. Yeah. By the end of the night, everyone's had a case of beers.
It's your civic duty. Anyway, and that's the problem, right? Is that you listen to a song like that, comes 12 on the Hot 100, and I think that song is more interesting than the entirety of this album.
I was thinking around about the high 80s with the Chaps been in there.
Oh, no, the Chats. No.
Sorry, the Chats with the clap.
Or for instance, you know, a Too Tough Terry was
Too Tough Terry was,
Yeah. Speak straight, Terry. Now, I feel a bit bad because we've actually spent not a lot of time talking about the album.
We're really showing our age and it's more of the genres that we're into, but this is not one of them.
Yeah, this is.
It's not at all a bad album. It's just not my album.
No, I actually disagree. I actually don't think it's a good album. I really don't. I think
there's a difference between being a bad album and being an average album, and then being it's not a bad album. It's not a great album. It's not something I want.
No, I can't. See, even Busta Rhymes' album, right,
had a
variety of track listings, right? There was... Oh, we've got a friend.
Hello, baby boy.
Even like Busta Rhymes' album had a variety of tracks. There was an interest song to song. And basically every album we've listened to, the one that was closest to being fairly homogenous would have been KG, and even I found stuff on KG that was of interest. No, I don't think it's a good album. I don't think they did enough to punctuate song to song. I think they sound really, really good, but I don't think they had enough ideas to justify an album. If this was an EP, pick your best 4 or 5 on it, perhaps I'd feel a bit more inclined towards it. I don't think they had enough ideas for it, and because of that, I simply can't even agree to it being average. I don't think it's a good album.
There you go.
So that might be a bit rough, but that's just how I feel about it.
I got no final thoughts, really. I'm going to guess 4.
Yeah, I'm probably thinking like a 3.5. I will never listen to this album again.
I'm sorry, guys.
So yeah, that was I don't even care what the album name is. What was the album name? Sunlight?
Sunlight, yep. You're a fucking piece of shit, you are. These people, they put all their effort into it.
Oh no, they didn't get that one fan on the Gold Coast.
No.
Oh no, yeah, it's the music's fine. It's unoffensive. You put it on the background, but it's not a centerpiece.
Yep.
I'm not going to go up to my friends and say, "Hey, look at this. This is cool music." It kind of sounds like, what happens if you mix, white paste with, the Eagles from the 70s. It just I'm not interested. Some of the vocal harmonies, like you listen to Booster Seat, I just get like these big Eagles vibes with their group harmonies. But that's a problem with me. I think anytime that there's like these like 3 or 4
harmonies,
people,
you always think Eagles. You do drop that.
The harmonies are really sweet sounding.
They are,
and the music production is nice, if a little echoey. Like it's just there. I couldn't find the creativity in it, unfortunately. So, if this goes viral,
what about lyrically?
Booster Seat was fine. Good For You was fine. The problem is that like when it comes to interest for music, I found that I need the song's like the tinder and the lyrics are like the log. You need the tinder to take before the log starts to burn. So I'm pretty uninterested in lyrics. For instance, take any Busta Rhymes song. Lyrics are actually intense, but I hate the music, so I never ever really get into it. But I can appreciate it externally, but I'm only really academically looking at it. I'm not saying it from a place of personal enjoyment. I don't relate to it, even if it was relatable to me, because I'm just not into the rhythm of the music to start with. And it's the same with this. The music just doesn't get you into it.
Doesn't even spark.
Whereas like by contrast, you listen to Ballpark Music, some of their songs don't have the best lyrics in the world, but the music's rocking and the lyrics are fun enough to carry it along, so you're in for the ride. And then it's jackpot if you hit with both, right? And that's when the albums are really friggin' good.
Yep, really pop.
Anyway, that's the end of that.
What's next week?
So one last Aussie artist, and I think we're done with male, even though Spacey Jane wasn't an all-male act. I think we're done with the men for a while.
Or even Ballpark Music.
Isn't it?
Nope.
Who's the chick in that band?
Well, there is a girl in it. She is the keyboardist.
Oh, cool. Sick.
I believe so. She also does harmonies in the back. I'm surprised she didn't pick that up.
I'll listen to it again and try and pick her out, because all the backing harmonies, I mean, guys can sing high, so I just assume it was a male back. So we're listening to Thelma Plum this week.
Thelma Plum.
Yeah.
Oh, this will be fun.
Better in Black.
Better in Black.
That says BLAK. Don't ask me why.
She Kiwi?
No, she's Aboriginal. I have listened to a couple of her songs. She has a very nice voice. But I don't know what an album of her music is like.
Ooh.
I actually think that doing Aussie month in like January or December is a good idea, given the Triple J Hot 100. I listened to it yesterday and I'm like, shit, I actually know like 20% of the songs, which is up like 18% from a normal year.
Yeah, and I don't listen to it, so I was surprised to see that Spacey Jane got 4 in there.
I'm pretty happy to see that, and I want all success for them. Just because I hate their music doesn't mean I don't want them to do well.
Yeah. Well,
anyway,
why would you not want anyone to succeed? That'd just be rude.
Oh, I don't know. I think I could think of some artists I wouldn't want to succeed. Anyway,
nameless, they shall stay. Okay,
we've been CDR. That was whatever that album was. We won't talk about that again.
Sunlight, my Spacey Jane. Fuck this guy. See ya.
See you next week. Bye.
You're a piece of shit.
That was a good ep, I thought.
Yep.